Don't even get me started on the Book of Revelations. You want to get me started on the Book of Revelations? In that, it's just an alchemical text. When you read the other alchemical texts, it's just like the Book of Revelations. Exact same colors, exact same symbolism and violence. It's incredibly violent because we know when we're going through hell, it hurts. And angels and dragons and two-headed things all find their definition in the alchemical dictionaries. And I think that's the hardest part, even for, we Christians and who want to, we like Christ, we like our story, we like that. Revelations is tricky because it's like, okay, if I believe in all of this, do I also have to believe that this dude's going to come back on a chariot led by, no, things don't come flying out of the sky. It doesn't happen. And that text is a beautiful symbolic rendering of the magnum opus. And one of the shapes in it is a shape that occurs in life, and it's the circle and the square, where the angels are standing on 4 corners of the earth. And the very next scene, we see them standing in a circle. And the circle and the square is one of the fundamental symbols, archetypes in life. And it's a gateway, one of the gates through the alchemical process. And the colors of the robes. And we see white a lot, and white is the albedo phase of alchemy. And we see it earlier on when Jesus climbs the mountain to go camping with his buddies, who he calls the Thunder Brothers. And he turns white on the mountain, and the other fathers are standing next to him, and he turns ashen. And this is him transforming and reaching that highest state of the alchemical, one of the higher stages of the alchemical process. But it's before the great one. And we go through and we get up high, we get to experience what transformation feels like, but then we have to go back into life and do it again and experience what we're meant to experience to complete our word. And then we get to experience it again. We get to rise up. But then we get plummeted. And you do it again and again and again until your being up is the same thing as being down. You've achieved perfect equilibrium. You've got your balanced chemical equation. What is it? NaCl2 equals Na plus Cl2, You balance yourself. And then if you go into the Tibetan Book of the Dead, then you're able to go through death in this state because you're not attached to anything. You're not freaking out as you die. You can remain conscious and replant yourself in something else. That's in that book too. Just recoil from the material and back into that little tiny seed, which in most of us is just buried and confused, and we can't even find the darn thing. But they've seen it in neurology tests of Buddhist monks who, when they're meditating, this one little part of the brain just lights up that doesn't light up in anybody else. And that's that seed. And in reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you see alchemy in there about breaking down into the 4 elements and doing that before you can move through, transmigrate. And Jesus transmigrates, goes through a rough spot and comes through. And so you kind of see the resurrection story as the Christian Book of the Dead. And of course you see the Old Testament as the Hebrew Book of the Dead. It's all about one thing. And it all goes down to this thing that's expressed as alchemy, and it may have different names across the faiths. And that we can't deny that all tribal faiths are living in a world that's where the spirit and the world are married. No separation. It's a metaphor. 2 things at one time in a single thought. And they can't be separated, even if we say they're separated. and convince ourselves of that reality.